Welcome back, wordsmiths and story seekers. I'm your host, Daniel Willcocks, joined today by the one and only RB Howley, our friend Rob, broadcasting from the shadowy halls of Devil's Rock HQ. And today we come to you with a special little mini-sode of a new feature to the podcast that I'm very aptly calling the Twisted Tales Diaries. So firstly, we'll jump over and say, what's up, Rob?
Hey, all right.
How's it going?
buddy? Yeah, all right.
So I've alluded to it on some of the episodes, a little bit in the intro to this podcast where I said I'm going to bring on Rob and he wasn't quite aware of it. And to be honest, we had the conversation, but he'd forgotten about our brand new series, Twisted Tales. And I thought these diaries would be a nice little sort of, what's the word? Like a little bookmark for us to be able to check in, talk about how things are going. We have very, very deliberately crafted a horror series that we're putting out and working on getting the stories out to different people. We've made a lot of what I think are very deliberate, very carefully researched decisions to try and make things happen. And, you know, people who want to ride along this journey and find out what happens behind the scenes of a publishing company can come join us. So that's what I've got before I get into the first question that I haven't prepared because we are wildly unprepared for this. But do you have anything you want to add, Rob, before?
I'll just say, for me, it's just a really nice sort of reminder. We've got the first book of Twisted Tales out. This is the first diary entry. It's one of those two first sort of situations. Obviously, neither of us we've published books before. This isn't the first time, but it's the first time together. So, yeah, nice little benchmark, nice little reminder what we've actually achieved over the last however long it's been, 12 months. Not sure.
Oh, okay. So the story of Twisted. So for a bit of context for people, Twisted Tales is actually come up to 4 years old almost in terms of its like origin. I remember getting the idea back when I was in Lincoln in around 2021. I was walking through the forest, and for ages I've been trying to find a way to serialize horror because, as me and you have had loads of discussions, like it's very difficult to serialize horror because a lot of people die.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Have you come across any like horror series outside? There's some YA sort of horror series, but generally not for sort of more adult readers.
Not for a little while, no. Most of the stuff I read is usually just standalone, and you either survive or you don't. The only thing I think could... nope, got nothing. No. Everyone dies. There we go.
Everyone dies. I mean, I've seen things like the Stephen King's The Shining has a sequel, but I wouldn't really call it a series. And so, I mean, I've spent a lot of time researching, just keeping an eye on what people can do to serialize horror, because in indie publishing especially, we know that series tend to obviously be better earners than standalones, which makes horror a very difficult genre to do that kind of stuff in. And so I was wandering through the forest. It was a nice summer day.
Of course you were.
It's just, why not? Just having a wander. And lightning struck on a very warm summer day. And then I generally just had the idea. I remember getting very, very excited about it because I was like, one of the most successful series of all time, arguably in horror, is Goosebumps by R.L. Stine. Mm-hmm. And my thinking was like, why isn't there a Goosebumps for grown-ups, essentially? And what I meant by that was like, there are other people doing series and sort of different things. There's like Anthony M. Strong's got a Deca thriller series, which is kind of horror thriller adjacent. I've got like a list of, like, in a research folder of all these different series that were like novel sized. And I was like, but what about like the short bites? There's a big swing at the minute for a lot of people to go towards novellas. So why not have like 30, 40K books that hit the Goosebumps market, but for adults? So we can get bloodier with it. We can get more horror with it. We can get more slashery with it, all that kind of stuff. And then it also means that, we're relatively fast writers, and you're fast, I'm fast. I'm not fast at the minute.
Like, we've had very different lives at the moment.
Yeah. But like, it means that you can also put out content fairly regularly and bring people on board and, grow this series. And as you've said, the first book is already out. And then I kind of just sat on the idea for a while and was like stewing on it, to kind of half put an idea into motion in the form of like a scarecrow with a pumpkin head. Had like a nice little idea for that. I kind of mocked around a few covers and played around with some things. And then I think I had like maybe the first 2 chapters of an idea that is wildly different to what we produced. I think I sent it over to you. It was one of like the desperate, like hungry guy who's like, he eats a pumpkin and then he's just like craving it. He's just like, bah. It's like a homeless guy just kind of stumbles across a
Yeah, I
pumpkin
vaguely
forward.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're wildly different to what we've actually got now, but yeah, I
So,
do
so,
remember
so different.
that.
And then, yeah. And then it kind of got to a point where we were talking about stuff and books, and you were showing more interest in horror, and like you were getting books out, and like, well, for people who are unaware of Rob and like why I have so much respect for him, me and Sam a couple of years ago put together a before you go and read this, I'm saying this, it's like we put together a flash fiction anthology, and like for a month we had a different prompt every day. People could just submit a story, and the idea wasn't to have like perfect stories, it was just to help people write. So it was just like every day, here's your prompt, write something, you've got 48 hours to send it in. And then out of all those, like like a few hundred stories, me and Sam read them all. We put them into an anthology, and we blind read them. So we stripped out everyone's like author name. We stripped out any sort of identifying details, and we went through them, picked our finalists of like 80 stories. And then as we were revealing whose was whose, like Rob had just like 17 stories just included in the
This is
anthology.
making me so uncomfortable right now.
I love it because this is on camera.
All right. I hate this so much.
But it was, and I remember like saying to Sam, like, we can't give him 17 stories in an anthology, but at the same time, it was blind read, and we were like, we can't not, because they're worthy, and they were like fantastic stories. But one of the things that we found in this working relationship, and I think you could attest to this, is like, I tell you what I'll do. I will describe how you write, and you describe how I write, and then we can say why this kind of dynamic is working, or where the idea came from. So Rob is very, very good at writing dialogue. He's very good at writing sort of very condensed, clean prose that links through and keeps the reader going and turning pages. It's not overly fluffy. There's not too many descriptions. It's just very sort of clean into the action. Here it's coming. And then I write like
very, very purple. I would, but it's your style. So it's worked for your series in the past. What I would say Dan is best at is everything that I am not. So everything he's just missed out in what he's saying is what Dan's better at. It's the descriptions, it's the setting, it's the atmosphere, it's those little bits that bring it to life. So I can hear the voices and I can see them doing the things to get to the action. Dan can see the landscape around where they are and uses that to bring it all together, I would say.
Yeah. And so it kind of made sense to me, because I was trying to write drafts and they were just getting big. And I did write one Twisted Tale, which is called Cock. And that at the minute has not yet been published, because that's not a Twisted Tale. And I realized that when I finished it, and I was like, this is not what I tried to write. And so I wrote that book, and then was like, I need reining in. But also, I really, really enjoy co-writing and working with other people, because it's a different experience, and it gives you a chance to, like, we can have regular meetings every week and check in, see what's happening with story ideas, marketing, the whole sort of landscape of what we're doing. And so I was like, let's write one together and see how it goes. And I handed you over a draft of Jack. You handed it back to me with loads of stuff crossed out. And it worked, because again, like, if we're hitting a Goosebumps-esque reader, they don't want the overly purple stuff that I do write. And I have no issue with it, because when I write a draft, I have to kind of just write it as I get through it and as I see it. And obviously there are certain paragraphs where, like, this isn't me in any way comparing myself to King, but like, I know reading King that each of those books would be like a third shorter, just because there's so much fluff and so much extra stuff that is nice, but you don't need. And we're trying to create page turners. And so if I hand you a first draft, it tends to be, you cut a load of stuff out and you're like, this is the meat. And I'm like, you're right. Yes. And then if it's the other way around, you hand me a first draft and I'm like, there needs a bit more in this. And it just seems to be working. So we kind of like pulled you in, and like, how would you say it was going from this stuff? Because you obviously like been publishing stuff before, doing short stories and things like that. What was it like for you going from that into kind of the co-writing experience here?
For me, I'd say there's always pressure when it's writing, regardless of whether it's by yourself or with someone else. It's a different kind of pressure, because this is my first collaboration project with anyone. Everything has always been solely with me before. As you
Rob
probably
doesn't
attest
share.
to, Rob does share certain things. Rob doesn't share the burden of responsibility well. So Rob very much, I put a lot of pressure on myself to start with because we're at different stages of our writing journeys. And I remember vividly saying to you quite a lot in the early stages of this, am I doing enough?
Mhm.
Because it never felt like it was. Now we've got to that point where we have drafted the second book. We are drafting the third book and the fourth book.
Mm.
That's got a lot smoother because I'm aware of where both of our strengths are. It's been fun because when I hand you back something, it gives me a little bit of a break to work on the next book that we're doing, or
Mhm.
we can just bounce ideas off each other, putting those little Easter eggs in for book one, book two, tying it all together. And it's just been, yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
this is it. We are. I think it was around January last year, like 2024. So we're getting close to
Yes.
2 years now,
Yeah. And
which
that's,
makes me sick.
I don't like time.
Me neither. But yeah, I think it was around sort of like January that I was like, right, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so I've published a fair whack of books. I've done a lot of like brand marketing and stuff. Like a lot of what this series is and what I kind of explained to you when I brought you on board was like, I feel like Twisted Tales is the culmination of 10 years of
Hmm.
experience and teaching come together. And it's a lot of putting in the lessons that I've learned, especially over the last 10 years, the input from yourself and the experience that you've got as well, bringing that together in a way that it's feeling very, very, for me, it feels very, very good. Like we're very much achieving the things
Hmm.
that we're trying to do. And so as I say, it's Goosebumps for adults is the easy pitch for us. The plan is, and currently is being executed, an anthologized series. So they're
Hmm.
going to be different stories. There's going to be Easter eggs, as Rob alluded to. There's going to potentially be sequels depending on what we do with the stories, how they're received, that kind of stuff. But because they're shorter books, it means that we can remain agile to what book comes next. You know, is it going to be a sequel? Is it going to be a follow up here? Is it going to be this type of book? Like, what do the readers want? It's very, very experimental, but we're also working very, very hard to make sure that the books are branded very, very effectively in a way that people can tell it's a series, despite them being different books. We're doing a lot of stuff with the paperbacks and other things to make sure that they're collectible items. Because one of the things I loved particularly was having the Goosebumps books on the shelf and seeing all those
Hmm.
spines together and seeing the numbers and all the different brandings and things. Um, and even in terms of marketing and what we're doing with releases, I'm very, very happy that we are aligned on what the goals are and that we are kind of sticking to that. So in terms of what our expectations are from production, do you remember what because we essentially went away to this sounds very romantic. We went away for a lovely weekend in a cottage in Oxford.
Yeah.
When was that? April?
That
May?
was, I think it was April. Yeah, no, I think it was April. What even month is it now? August. Yeah, I
August.
think it was April.
Yeah.
And I think we were the strangest visitors our host had ever seen because we
She was
basically
not
just
expecting us.
she wasn't she wasn't expecting flip charts,
No,
post-it notes,
so many pens.
us to clear the table.
A massive table in the kitchen, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
so
full
that
like
was
what's the
yeah.
what's the term like? Not war room. War room.
I've,
No?
you've lost me. I don't know what war room, as in like off of war.
Hats off war. Yeah, like when all this is why I don't write military. When all the like sergeants and stuff have like little sticks and they're pushing people to
What
like
we were having was
plan
like
their attack.
we were having a Cobra meeting, but for marketing Twisted
Yeah,
Tales. That's what we're
yeah,
trying to get at.
yeah. That
Yeah, there was flip charts. So I think what we've worked out really is working on, I think it was an 8-week launch schedule for each of the
Mhm,
books with the social media, the paid campaigns, the newsletters, all of that sort of stuff tied into it.
mhm.
And we've applied that to each of the books that we've got planned or at least drafted so far up until, I'm going to say February, maybe.
Yeah.
So full transparency, that is I love doing that sort of thing. So I very much remember you
I
saying to
hate
me at
it.
one point, you hate the structure of this, whereas I like some structure. So I like to know what I'm working to. Whereas you are very much, well, we'll launch a book. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And that's where it works as well, because I'm very structured. You're slightly more fluid with the approach of it. Together, we can adapt to whatever happens. If reviews come in, we can get some social media
Mhm.
graphics done. If we hit number one bestseller like we did, Go Team
Hell yeah.
Twisted,
Yeah.
we can get that promoted, all of that sort of stuff. So it's a fluid yet structured approach.
Mhm. Yes. And then the sort of top things that we agreed were important for us when it comes to actually like all of the stuff that we're working on was like number one was sustainability,
Number two was joy.
joy, which again are quite abstract concepts, but to be honest, like we are this is a very different notion for me. We are very looking at like much looking at the long term of this. Like
hmm
we're building, we spent the reason it took around 18 months to set up. How I've literally it's just come back in my head that we're in August again. That's mad. But it's
hmm
taken about 18 months for us to get to the point where that first book was launched, and so much of that was making sure that we're setting foundations properly for what we're doing. So
Yep.
when it comes to what social media platforms we're using, we're very specific about what we use and how we use them because we've only got so much energy between us and we want to make sure that like we're not just like scattergunning everything. Like it's about
hmm
bandwidth, it's about making sure that we're effective when we use those channels. So I mean realistically we have what Instagram,
Instagram,
mailing
Facebook,
list,
Blue Sky,
Blue Sky,
mailing
Facebook.
list. Yeah, so but idea we've primarily got the four platforms, and then
Yeah.
we've got the
Because they're the ones we
yeah,
primarily use anyway.
yeah.
So it just kind of makes sense to double down on those and use those. Um, we're doing a lot of stuff with like reaching out to influencers and kind of just sharing a lot of what we're doing. And with this first book, very, very specifically, our goal for the launch of Jack, which came out on the, was it 23rd of June?
23rd of
July.
August, because oh yeah, it was July because I was away, wasn't I?
Yes, and it's August now.
Launch day meeting.
We're so frazzled. But yeah, so it came out about 3 weeks ago. But the goal there, like a lot of people are saying to me, like, "Oh, did it bring in a load of money? Did it bring in a load of money?" Like, it brought in
hmm
some money, but
Yeah.
for us, because it's a new series and because we're kind of putting in a lot of like, as we say, groundwork and foundations and stuff, the main thing we wanted to do was ensure that we had funnels and we were starting to reach readers, which is
Yep.
happening. We're still getting reader feedback. We're getting emails. We've got people who read Jack that are on to Air, the next book, and they're already giving us beta feedback on that. Need to chase that. See, that reminds me. Um, but also one of the big goals that I wanted to hit specifically was just to like get it to a number one bestseller status
hmm
because again, like I want to build something that is built off a reputation of quality, of being bigger than just a single book itself. We're not building a
hmm
series here. We're building essentially like a universe, a
Yep.
brand, and focusing very much on that message rather than the individual books. Like they all are bricks in the wall, but we want to make sure that the wall is big and glorious and
Yeah.
gold. And so, yeah, like not only I remember my car had broken down. This is a nice little behind the scenes story because it was a stressful 48 hours. My car had broken down and I was stranded in another part of the country. And I was very, very sad. And in a cafe, and I was just like, oh, and this was like a 6 days, 6 or 7 days before Jack came out.
Yeah.
And so it'd been up for pre order. We were starting to get pre orders in. I was very, very sad. And I was in yesterday's clothes and I smelt. And I was sat there on my laptop doing work in like a little cafe. And then I get a little like screenshot from Rob, which is just like, what is the hot new release, wasn't it? It was like number one hot new
Yeah, it was number
releases.
one hot new release in the US and UK, and I didn't realize at this point. I think I was aware of the fact you were very upset with your life at that point. But I didn't quite coincide the
I was
timings
just
with me
so
sending.
tired.
I didn't quite coincide sending a nice little message of like, "Mate, we've done it,"
Huh?
with using in a cafe. So I
Yeah.
think that might have perked you up a little bit.
Yeah, it really, really did. And again,
Good.
like, so the strategy for the book one launch, again, like money is wonderful. And that is definitely something that we're looking at building towards in the
hmm
grand scheme of things. The first book, very much about how can we reach as many people as possible? How can we ensure that we're rising those charts and getting to the top of those lists? And so we were very, very specific using Publisher Rocket to make sure we
hmm
found categories that would benefit Jack, but would also give it a good chance of hitting those ranks to make sure that we get those messages in, make sure it's seen by as many people as
hmm
possible. And it paid off. I'm really, really happy because it's been a
Yeah.
while since I've done that kind of stuff.
Because I think that one of the things we talked about as well back in our little romantic getaway in Oxford was the two types of readers that we really wanted to
Mm,
bring into the community as well. It's the people that grew up with that 90s nostalgic horror
yes.
that want those vibes again, but it's also the newer generation of horror readers. Because as you touched on earlier, I'm newer into the horror genre, so I've only ever known the Goosebumps side of it. I've never had that full life of reading horror, watching horror. I'm only in probably 6 or 7 years into the horror world at the moment,
Yeah,
so it's nice to be able to have those two readerships coming into one world where they get the Goosebumps of grown-ups, but they also get the slightly darker side of that with the
yeah.
more,
We can have fun with it.
yeah, we can have fun. It's good.
Yeah. Because it does seem like a bit of a jump to have kids be like, oh, here's Goosebumps, here's Fear Street, here's whatever the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
ones are, to what's adult horror. And then this, like, I know from being in horror, this isn't what adult horror is. But for non horror people,
yeah. Hmm.
Goosebumps, and then Stephen King, like
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
600-700 page books. And like, they're
Hmm.
fantastic. And I've read a lot of them. And, you know, they are worth the reads. And like, they are some of the most inspiring stories. It gets so many horror authors into the genre, but where are the shorter books in those series
Hmm.
that bring that just entry level in? And you know what? We have successfully hit those markets,
Yeah.
and I'm very, very proud of us and what we've done so
Hmm.
far. Because I've had the bulk of the people who are leaving reviews and that, a lot of them like unprompted are mentioning Goosebumps, which
Yeah.
is awesome, which means we've done our research well, we're writing well in the way that it resonates with those people. But then I have also had a few messages from people that was just like, oh, this is my first horror. And like I feel like
I
it's a
don't know
nice
that.
entry into that. Well, there you go. I'll
Yeah.
I'll
Teamwork.
fill you in more. But like they're like, yeah, this is my first entry into horror, and like, yeah, I liked it because horror is such a diverse genre,
Hmm.
very misunderstood genre because we think horror is just fear.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a part of it, but like there's so many different types of horror books. And I think having that gateway for the older reader is
Hmm.
just very, very beneficial. And again, you know, we've got book one out, book two comes out on the 17th of September.
Yep.
So that's 4 or 5 weeks. Um, number three is in the works.
Hmm.
So is number four. Like there'll definitely be a number three before the year is up.
Yep.
Um, and it's just kind of fun to work on and to write. And it's very, very different because I'm flexing different muscles in exactly what we said earlier about
Hmm.
how we're writing. Like I'm being much more conscious of getting to the point, but also still having like the
Yeah,
heart
yeah,
and the
yeah.
emotion and like the atmosphere. Um, it's fun kind of going back and forth with you on edits and things. So like
Hmm.
one thing that I think works well in this collaboration is you hand a draft over and that's it. Like there's no ego in it. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you've
yeah.
changed a chapter because you feel it needs, that's fine. If there's like a line, you know, we can discuss stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very, very open and healthy working relationship, I feel.
Yeah.
Um,
I would agree with that. I think it's good for both of us to have someone else that understands where we need to be and where we
mhm,
want to be, but also understands that this is a fun process. Because I think what's important about all of this is essentially what we're trying to do is we're starting a new series.
mhm,
This is the journey that people go on. Granted, they might not be doing it with other people, but what we've done now is really the beginning of an author's journey.
mhm.
So it's nice for us to be able to look back at this and go, right, we're not new authors, but new authors
Yeah.
doing this thing together. So it's not like we are, you know, we are best-selling authors. What I'm trying to say is we are showing that it's a journey that if you can find someone that you work well with, you can
Mhm.
do this as well.
Yeah. And it's also kind of like a different, well, it is a totally different market because when winter comes and the other stuff that I've written is, as we've kind of said, like much more purple, much more like, I guess, literary,
Hmm.
um, but stuff that I do enjoy writing. And so we are reaching a different group of readers with this. So it is essentially starting from zero.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we remind each other of a lot as we're going through, like when it's tough or when things don't quite go the way that we want to, is like, it's not about Jack. It's not
No.
about that book one. It's about Twisted Tales, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
the brand. And the big picture is when you get to books 10 onwards and you've got a series that you can market and we can play with
Hmm.
more and we can box up and we can do a lot of different things with just to play and hopefully keep on delivering stories that people enjoy. And not every story is going to resonate. You know, we've done the first one's about a scarecrow,
Hmm.
second one's about a werewolf. Let's just say it because this is the behind the scenes, and I think people are
Yep.
allowed to know. But we've not actually announced that yet, even though it's kind of obvious in the marketing. The second one's about a werewolf. Third one is about, I'm not going to say that one yet, but
Hmm.
like they're all different stories. And so
Yeah.
like the people who love more rural horror are going to
Yeah.
be less likely to like potentially the Christmassy one that we're putting together.
Hmm.
And that's okay. You know, not every R.L. Stein book is resonating with every single person. And that's what we're doing. We're building this smorgasbord of genre, of story, but all under this banner where you can come into the book and know what the experience is going to be.
Yeah. 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 And it'll be, I think it's going to be nice once, like you said, once we've got to book 8, 9, 10, 15,
73.
20, whatever, it's 73. How many Goosebumps books were there? Do you know?
Oh, I think it was like 180 or something.
Okay, we'll do 181. So that's fine.
Like,
It'll
ooh.
be nice to, obviously, something we are both very keen on is making this more than just the universe and the series. It's maybe having little Jack collectibles or little werewolf collectibles, live events, all that sort of stuff. Just bringing those horror readers together with something they enjoy.
Mhm.
Like you said, collectible series, special editions, Easter eggs, all that sort of good stuff.
Looking forward to that stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. And it's all part of like a bigger ecosystem as well, because, you know, this is the Writer's Chair podcast, which is on the Devil's Rock Books website. So people will potentially be starting to get curious about like what's going on there. But, you know, the Twisted Tales, all the books and that feed into the bigger Devil's Rock stuff that
Hmm.
we're doing and that we've got ideas for behind the scenes. At the minute, it's just us two. And so we're kind of taking our time, putting things together.
Yeah,
Um, but there are plans and there are lots of ideas for other ways of expansion. But the main focus, we said kind of all
yeah,
from the beginning, is Twisted Tales and getting these books. Because
yeah.
one of the things that I found difficult, and there was a lot of stuff I enjoyed about activated authors and the community and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things I found difficult was I got to a point in which I was podcasting, in which I was coaching, I was doing a lot of this stuff, but I wasn't writing and releasing books.
Hmm.
And that really needs to be the heart of what I'm doing in order to be happy and to be confident
Yeah,
in sharing this stuff and, you know, sharing the experience, encouraging others, and kind of just bringing people along for the journey.
yeah, yeah. It's nice. It's like I said earlier, you're a lot further ahead in your career than I am. I am, I would say, a teenager in the in the publishing space, whereas you are old man Dan.
Huh.
You've been around for a little while.
Yeah.
But it's nice that we can both bring whatever skills we've got together into a series, but
Mhm.
also it's really nice and gives you the warm, fuzzy feels. um,
People who
to-
don't know Rob doesn't know how hard this is for him.
I don't like emotions. So,
That's why we
um,
work so well. I cry every day, and Rob's a robot. It's literally in the name. It's a robot.
it's nice seeing the feedback that we've got in the Discord group.
Mhm.
It's nice being able to engage with the readers there, go, what did you think about this? What do you think this could be about? Little teasers, all that sort of stuff as well. It's just
Yeah.
nice being able to have that community around us as well. When we're both just sat there going, what are words? You
Hmm.
look at those and go, this is why we're doing this. You look at the guys that are there and go, right, this is why we're doing it. It's for readers like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And one other thing we should mention as well is I don't know if people want to join us along on this journey, but we do have a website, which is twistedtalesbooks.com. And I know I designed it, but I think it looks awesome.
It
Like,
does.
I'm
Well
really
done.
happy
Gold
with it.
star for you.
Yeah. And like all the branding and everything else, like it's really, it feels, already
Hmm.
feels, again, like larger than just Jack,
Yeah,
which is,
because it is.
yeah. And it's also fun every time a new book comes out, just kind of like uncovering one and adding it to the collection
Hmm.
and seeing it grow. So
Yeah.
yeah, in 4 or 5 weeks, there'll be another one. Oh my God, we need to have a discussion after this podcast about stuff.
We forgot to, we also didn't mention that there is a little free short story that we've got as well.
Absolutely. Over to you.
Thor. Oh, that's okay. Well, it's called Thor. It's a short story. It's available for free on the Twisted Tales website.
Mhm.
So twistedtalesbooks.com. So if you want to head over there and grab that for free as well, it's a little, I think it was something we've previously looked at together. We
Mhm.
went through our usual process with it. Yeah, just nice little nugget to give away to people as well, just to,
Yeah. Nice little freaky story about some Arctic paleontologists that uncover a fossil in the ice that does naughty, bad things. And it's a
yeah,
little teaser of what you can kind of expect from the Twisted series. So yeah, free
yeah.
story over at twistedtalesbooks.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, like there we go. We can kind of wrap it up there. But I think as we go on every few weeks or so, if you're happy
Yep.
to do that, we could jump in, just kind of
Yep.
share lessons that we're learning, share what we're up to, share more decisions and things that we made.
Cool.
It's a bit of a whistle stop tour of 18 months worth of work packed into one. But also, if you listen to this and you've got a specific question and you just want to know something that we've done, why we've done it, or you've got a specific question for myself or for Rob, feel free just to go onto the Twisted Tales website and
Yep.
do we have a contact form on there? I can't remember.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Do we? Cool. Then
Yes.
send us an email.
Yes, we definitely do.
Are you just saying that? Or have you checked?
I'm checking.
I don't think I put one on there because it's not really a contact. I did contact. There we
Yeah, you
go.
did.
I built
Told
the
you.
goddamn thing.
This is why you need to listen to me.
Oh my god, and it looks really good as well. So
It does.
send us a message. You can go through twistedtalesbooks.com/contact or send us an email to twistedtalesbooks@gmail.com. And yeah, like we're happy to answer anything. I want this to be
Yep.
as transparent and as useful for people as possible. And yeah, like I will say, just since this is the first one of these, like Rob, I've very much enjoyed the last 18 months so far.
I have as well,
There's
man.
lots more to go. And yeah, we'll jump off so that we can do our regular weekly meeting and start talking about the launch of Air.
Mm-hmm. There
Cool.
we go.
Sweet.
Teaser for everyone.
Thanks everyone
Thanks,
for
guys.
joining. Yeah, I'll speak to you soon.